Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Smart Flip, the Phone Flippers podcast. Glad to have you guys here watching this. And today, guys, I have with me Nicole Russell, the owner of CellBotics, the showrunner of the what is that?
Yeah,
What is the
marketing.
conference called?
Gadget Repair Expo.
Gadget Repair Expo. I've spoken
Give
there. I
the
don't
full
know why.
rundown.
Yeah, and she does quite a few other things, but the main thing and the reason I wanted to bring her on here was because of how she helps the industry so much. She's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to the repair industry, a little bit of the phone flipping industry, and just gadgets in general. So, with that being said, Nicole, can you kind of introduce yourself? What do you do? How do you help people? Let's start there.
Yeah, definitely. So first, let's talk about what I do. So,
Yeah.
um, yes, I own CellBotics, which is online training, in-person training. We also have a commercial division, which is focused around repair and just business in general. And then I also sit on the board for Repairs First Association, which is an association that is focused on retail cell phone repair shops. So our motto is franchise level support without the franchise fee. Um, Being on the board of RFA has really been great for me. I love that. But I'm actually the chief training officer for Repairs First Association, and then also I am part owner of the Gadget Repair Expo. But my main focus is marketing. So I do a lot of video, a lot of lives. I deal with which is really fun is I deal with influencers. So it's my job to go out and try to connect with influencers, which I'm sure you know sometimes can be a struggle if you're trying to connect with them and reach them sometimes, which is really fun. And then also in addition to that, I am part owner in Accelerate, which is a franchise consulting group. So we work with people that are trying to franchise. And then another side business, but I don't like to call it that. I don't like to call it like a side hustle because it's actually a legitimate business. Is I have a vending company. So basically, we vend at events all over the country. We sell hot dogs, drinks, sodas. My family works for me. Sometimes I have to hire people depending on what city it is or how big the show is. And then also, I've owned a bookkeeping business since I was 18, and I have staff that run it. So I don't actually do the bookkeeping, but so that's kind of a gamut of everything that I do.
Holy, I didn't realize you did so much.
I have a really big team. A lot of people don't know that. They think that
Yeah.
I do everything on my own, but total, I have around 25 VAs. And then I have under Celbotics, I have Shura and Michelle who are the trainers, but they actually run a lot of Celbotics. So they're bringing the students in, they're talking to people who call the phones, they're responding to emails. I have VAs responding to comments online. You know, when I make content, somebody else is cutting and doing that and handling thumbnails. I just make it. So Celbotics is not hands off because I'm the brand and I'm very involved in the industry, but as far as like the day to day of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, no, definitely. Well, that's
Having a
awesome.
good team is important.
Yeah, for sure. Totally agree. I mean, it's the same thing with with our stuff, our education platform, Recelerator. Like, I am the face, but I run parts of it. I only run the marketing part actually. So, um, teach people Facebook and Google Ads. So,
But isn't that like the joy of it? You know what I
yeah, I get to
mean? Like
teach what
when
I
you
want.
can find that balance.
Yeah, I mean, I got experts in the industry that do the other ones, and I don't need to do those calls. You know.
Yeah, we just also Jeremy Koturski, which is a partner of mine in other businesses, Brian and Brad, but we specifically started a new company just well, it was about a year. We spent like building it and trial and error. So it's been a year, but we've officially launched it a couple months ago. It's called Event Nitro. And we actually sell VAs, but in a whole different way than you would think, like we just give you the VA. And we did that because over the past 7 or 8 years working with them, we use so many VAs. We know how hard it is to find VAs, properly train them and work with them and be in between them. So that's another thing that's going on, but I'm super, super excited about that.
No, I totally feel that. It is definitely it can be difficult to train BAs for sure. A lot of people
Yeah.
don't realize that. I don't think a lot of people realize how hard it is to train somebody to do something well, even to do it as like 50% as good as you. Like
Mhm.
and that's kind of what you want. Like they're never going to be 100%, right? They're
No.
most is probably 50, 75% is going
And
to be.
Cellbotics, gosh, I've owned Cellbotics since like 2010, and I totally am invested in Cellbotics. I love what we do because we're working with people who have the entrepreneurial spirit, which match my like, my energy. That's how I am, right? And when people come in, my content is very clear. You're not going to come in and leave a master.
Yeah.
You're going to come in and learn how to properly start and then where you need to go from there. And you're going to leave with the tools that you need to help yourself and reach out to, find help, connected to people. And I think that they have this perception sometimes when they come to our courses that they're just coming to learn about the screwdrivers, but they learn so much more. They get connected with people and, places and things they need to know. And they leave knowing, no, I'm not going to be, well, Nicole, I used to be a repair tech. I'm not anymore, but I'm not going to leave like Shura. Shura is like a master repair technician. Michelle's been repairing for, I don't even know, since she was born, right? But they know how to get to where they are. And that's the important thing, I feel like, in training is being very clear. Find some courses will set expectations so high and then people feel let down. Well, you set it so high. Be realistic, over deliver. Under promise, over deliver is kind of how we go
Agreed.
about it.
Oh yeah, for sure. So just curious, like what inspired you to start Cellbotics? Like what was it?
Okay, funny story. So, I actually, I'm a high school dropout GED student. If anybody can do it, I can do it. Okay. I was a mother of a 3-year-old. My child's father and I, we kind of, he had these flea market booths. I was doing one in Florida. Long story short, New Orleans was doing really well. He needed my help. He relocated me there. Within 4 months of me being there, he actually committed suicide. So the IRS had locked down his accounts. He's running his business under the table. I'm a huge opponent of running your business under the table for that. Because once they come for you, it can destroy you and you don't know what to do. Right. And that's what happened to him. So I was left with these flea markets that were like in different states. And we were selling everything from hats to sunglasses to the MP4s to flip phones to tablets. And I had to reevaluate and say, what was doing really well? You know what I mean? And so I honed in on the electronics, got rid of everything else, closed a few locations, should have sold them. If I only knew what I know now, I knew then I would have sold them in a big bundle and retired, because they were making really good money, but I did not know what I was doing. And I was in shock, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And so it was a hard time. But really shortly after that, I mean, within the year, I realized we needed to be doing repair. Okay. Primarily repairing the tablets that we were selling. I was selling hundreds. Now, think back, this is before Walmart had tablets.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So people go to the flea market. If they've got 5 kids, they're coming up to my booth and they're like, 5 tablets, 10 tablets. I mean, I was selling them like lollipops. Like I'm not even like. I was getting huge shipments from China and dealing with customs. It was nuts. But it was really lucrative and it was great. But when people would break them, they would go to a cell phone guy and the guy would say, that's a $30 tablet. Now they just bought it from me for $200. You don't know the cost. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then they're coming back to my stores because at that time I still had 3 flea markets left, and one in Texas, one in Indianapolis, and one in Georgia. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we have got to repair these. And so I started fixing them, working with my Chinese vendor. And then I started to look into schools. And I said, I wonder if there's a school out there. And I went to a school. Well, what they said was a school, which was someone teaching repair in the back of their store. And me already doing some repair and realizing what the need was, I was sitting across from someone who was entering the industry and had no understanding. And he was so excited, great guy. Oh my God, I'm learning so much. And I'm sitting here like, this is not what you need to know.
Yeah.
you know, so we're spending time on things that don't apply. But I didn't want to say that. I wanted to go in. I went into that school as I knew nothing. I didn't say who I was, what I owned. I am trying to get into the industry because I really wanted to see what the whole education experience was about. Because when I was 17, my mentor owned a Microsoft Office QuickBooks training center. So that's where my training experience comes from. I've been in training since I was 17. I was in HR training, just training, training, training. So I said, okay, I want to go in here. So what made me do it initially is because I was turning away my business and I wanted to learn how to repair. But what made me do Cellbotics was realizing the misleading of the training that was happening, the overselling of what the training can do for you, and then what you actually received and what you could do with it. Those that messaging didn't match. And I personally didn't like that. I felt like, okay, this person's probably doing great. I'm not judging any other business. I'm not putting any other business down or anything like that. But me, I felt like I possessed enough skill set in training. I just had to have the people that had the really good skill set to then turn around and actually make a legitimate school that was realistic and actually had a clear path to owning a cell phone repair business. And so that's why I started Cellbotics. Now I had my stores and I would just train people like that. I remember when I got my first student, I charged like $200 for the week. I mean, I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I ran a Groupon and I got another student for like $50 for the week. But I was like still excited because it was like my stores were making money, but the training aspect of it, and how much I love just training people, I was like, this is amazing. Then to see the results they got and how I could help them, and it just literally, Cellbotics just tumbled like a weed. I mean, we were doing 10 people a week and it just grew into its own beast. And then eventually I actually sold my last flea market space to one of my students who he still owns it.
Wow, that's awesome. I
Yeah.
will have to say on the education side of things, whenever you bring somebody in and you translate the information in a way that they understand and take action, and then seeing the result of that is one of the most empowering things. Like to, you know, especially with like our buyback people, like to see somebody come in who's only making like $1,000 a month, and then see them 3 or 4 months later making $10,000 a month. It's a
Yeah.
big change. Like it also like you can see the change in them. It's really cool. So
I love it. You know, I like we spoke about, I mean, I want to take your program because my sister has cancer and I want to like be able to give her more money. And I've talked to you about that. And it's not that I need the money. It's like I like to learn, but I don't think I would try to learn more things to train. I love training. I'm more now focused on, growing businesses that don't specifically have to have me doing things.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And training requires a lot of you. And people, they don't understand that. For years, day in and day out, I poured my soul into training people. 10 people at a time in an in-person class for 9 hours a day is absolutely draining. I suffered from panic attacks. But it was extremely fulfilling. And I did that for years. There are so many people in my industry right now. I have students that have 50 locations.
yeah,
I have students that are mobile. I have students that aren't doing anything with it. But it's so amazing to see how they'll pay for the class to take it, they don't do anything. That's a personal problem. I always tell them if you don't
yeah,
succeed, it's
yep,
your own fault. Don't come back to me because I got students that are winning. I know that this process works if you follow it. Um, and but to see the ones that it actually affects them, it's just so fulfilling to see that I could have such a big impact on someone. And I'm going to say, I never was a big techie. People assume that I'm into technology. To be honest with you, I barely know how to use my phone. I never like loved repairing stuff. I did it because that was the industry I was in and it was lucrative. So I always went after things from understanding the ability of the company to make money. That's how I chose industries. I know a lot of people say find your purpose, what you love to do. I was never taught that. I only went after businesses based on the amount of money that I could make. And so,
yeah.
so I never really loved electronics. So if I can be so successful in repair and not even love electronics, what if you loved them and you got into the industry? Imagine what you can do, you know?
Kind of like me in that way a little bit. Like I'm really good at the phone flipping, like really good at it. I just hate handling inventory. Like I
See?
freaking hate it. Like I can't stand it. Like I am much better building things. Like recently, I built a Chrome extension that automated a massive part of our marketing. I did that for 15 hours straight, building that, learning how to build that, and I was happy, like super happy about it. You know, so
See?
you can be in an industry, 100%, but like not like the direct the inventory side of things. Like I hate it.
Like the direct
Yeah,
process of that
exactly.
industry.
Yeah. Like
And it doesn't mean that you don't love the industry. I love the repair industry. I'm passionate. I always want to help. I want to connect people. If someone needs help, like somebody will message me and say, I gotta solder this on blah blah blah. I'm like, I have never soldered a day in my life, but you know what? I know someone who can help you, you know? And that's really what I bring to the table is I have the ability to be visible, articulate the important things in the industry. Like, I may go speak on a panel or speak at a show. It's not because I'm some repair expert. People have that misconception. It's more of I'm willing to be a voice where there needs to be a voice. I'm getting up there with screwdrivers and saying I can fix everything in solder. I'm saying understanding the industry and the importance to the repair shop owners. I've worked with thousands over all the years, right? Being a part of the Repairs First Association. And that's really where I thrive. It's not in the little details of the screws. I have amazing team members that do that. They're freaking awesome technicians. And so I let that part go. And it worked out.
yeah, and they built a insanely great business that's helped probably hundreds,
Insanely.
if not thousands of people at this point, right?
Oh, thousands. Yeah.
So I
Even
want
with our online, because it's unlimited. With in person, it's very limited. It's not scalable. In person training is very it's just not scalable
yeah,
business, you know what I mean? But online is unlimited. And then with like the Gadget Repair Expo, it has been so fulfilling to be a part of putting on that show because it helps so many people.
yeah, I've
And
been on
then
boards, and it's
we want to talk about Repairs First Association. I mean, working with Jeremy Kwitursky, who is the original founder of CPR Cell Phone Repair, and Brad Broom and Brian Ahern, who worked with him to do that. They built this to 500 locations, and then Jeremy sold it a few years ago and started Repairs First Association. Um, that alone and working with that kind of people, like I hold them up on a pedestal everywhere I go because it is so amazing working with them. But I worked really hard to be able to be recognized, to be able to be asked to be brought on the board. So, there is some value to what I'm doing, even though I'm not twisting screws.
yeah, no, I love that. So I wanna go into the repair industry here a little bit. So what is like one of so you got a lot of students. What is the main issue that you see people have whenever they're like first starting out or trying to grow their business? Like, is it the mindset? Is it, or is it something tactical, or what do you typically see?
Well, there's put my finger on one. I will say is understanding the industry and the amount of commitment it's going to take. So someone will join based on seeing profit margins, people on YouTube making videos about how much money they make,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And not quite understanding what it takes to get that one client and then to multiply that, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And that the cell phone repair industry, you're always growing. So they'll sometimes call in, say, well, I'm gonna come and I'm gonna learn everything, right? It's not possible because true master technician will do micro soldering, refurb. Well, sometimes they just pick one. I don't want the repair guys to watch this and be like, I don't know refurb to be a master technician. But I'm just saying, like some of them they pick different areas. Some they'll kind of go refurb and they become masters of refurb. They can fix all types of devices, plus take the glass off and do all of that. Some of them go micro soldering and then they're also doing basic repair for walk-ins. But it's not like you can just learn batteries and screens and then make millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Customers are just going to come to you. And people come sometimes with that misconception. And I'm not sure where they're getting it because they're not getting it from my content. They're getting it from somewhere. I don't know if it's because they go get a phone fixed and they sit there and they say,
Yeah.
that took that guy 15 minutes and I paid him $120. But they don't understand what this guy has to know. You know what I mean? So it's that, and then it's understanding the commitment because a lot of our students, which I know that you have, these is kind of your student base too, is people who are maybe working at a job and want to, sorry, my computer was, and then want to make extra money and then eventually grow it into something that they can maybe quit their job. That's what we get a lot of, right? So coming from a working full-time perspective where you're making a check for the time you put in, you have to shift your mindset, which they can say it's all good in the beginning, but when the nitty-gritty sets in and you've been working months on end on something and you're still trying to get it to go, and then you just let it fizzle out and then you try to start again and then you fizzle it won't work that way. I came from corporate America. I was working for the Juvenile Justice Center. I was in HR and payroll, and I went cold turkey, which I do not suggest anybody do.
For real.
Real. Do not do that. My first year, disaster. Okay. Um, the first 5 years, I thought I must be insane. I need to check myself into, I need to go back to my job. You know, but now I mean, God, I would never take a job. I'm totally love. I am an entrepreneur full time. But you have to be so dedicated to the long term view that it's not funny and no one can interfere with it. We also, I'm going to talk gender here, and I'm so sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody, but we get a lot of men in our school
Yep.
and a lot of married men with families. And I will say, you need the support of your spouse, which either they just leave you alone and let you do it, or they support you, but they can't hate it. Can't make your life a living heck. Yeah, I want to cuss every time you want to do something about your business or you have to sacrifice going to a sports game or something because that will happen in the beginning. Chris, you have a family.
Yeah. I mean, I call that
You know,
when you're kind of in the middle, I call it no man's land, right?
there you go.
Like like you just left your job, you're really uncertain about things, and like you just left this structure that you've been in for a good chunk of your life. And then you're going through this phase where your friends and family don't really, they don't say they don't believe you, but they're just kind of like, I don't know about that. Um, and then you don't have enough money to like fully make it work yet. Like I call that no man's land.
I love that.
And you have to like push through it. Or it can also be called like the valley of despair. There's a curve that I teach my students
Love that.
because like
I love
in
that.
that moment what'll happen like if you go into no man's land, like a lot of what happens, it'll break people, and then they'll just go find another shiny object or a job and then start the cycle again, right? And like they'll
Mhm.
start another job, they'll get the entrepreneur itch again, and then they'll try again. And this is so we got a lot of people that come into our space and they're like, man, I could make a lot more money, repairing the phones that I'm flipping. And I'm like, wait, like, hold on. And they're only making like 3 or 4 grand a month. And I'm like, just chill out for a second. Like, if you're thinking about doing that, I highly recommend you get like 20 grand saved up for doing what you're currently doing because repairing it takes much more effort and ability and experience to
Mhm.
learn than flipping a phone does.
It does.
And on top of this, like we have a good amount of repair shops that actually come to us, and they're like, we wanna hire you to help us, improve our buyback stuff. And we turn away a lot of them because I do a time audit on a lot of these guys, and I'm like I'll ask them like, how much time do you actually have a day to like focus towards this? They're like maybe
Time audits. I love doing those with people.
yeah, and I'm like, you only got 1 to 2 hours a day. It's not gonna work, man. Like
No,
you're not gonna put in the what is required to do
that's
this.
right.
A lot of repair shop owners I've noticed they have like 9 irons in the fire. They're trying to do
Yeah.
financing on devices, sell devices, wholesale
Oh, yeah.
devices. They're trying to do 9 different things at once, trying to make money. And I'm just like, it's not gonna work. Like,
Well, also, to look at it from another perspective, because I work with repair shops, I own repair shops, I'm in the repair industry. Repair shops do that to have multiple income streams because people are already walking in. I mean, there are shops that are generating 80, 120 grand or more a month in revenue. I work with owners that make that or more. I work with shops that revenue 5,000 and can't pay the rent. And you know what I mean? And so there's two sides to the coin. When you see a shop doing all of that, I love it. I think shops should do all of that. Um, Not everybody agrees with me, but that's what I think. And I don't think it comes from a perspective of lack. It comes from the customer's already in here, so they might as well have all these services. I did the same thing. And so but you're right. And I will say one more thing before we leave that topic about gender. I know that it goes both ways. I mean, I'm a single mom, okay? And I do all of this stuff. And even as a woman trying to start a business, it's not just men experience that with their wives or girlfriends. It also can happen to women where you're with someone and you say, I'm going to start this repair business or I'm going to start flipping phones. And the person, or be it whatever gender in your life, it says, what? You know what I mean? And you have to overcome that. That's probably the three things that I see the worst is people not understanding the dedication that it's going to actually take, understanding the industry itself and the challenges of serialization and understanding that you're going to eventually need to do micro soldering and refurb or outsource it. What does that mean for your bottom line, right? Which, by the way, we teach all of this in our course. So courses, we don't just teach repair, we teach understanding the industry. And then lastly, the biggest hurdle, your home life and how supported you are or not supported, right? And some people are ideal people, men and women. It's like they're going to their family every 6 months with, I'm going to do Forex. I'm going to flip phones. I'm going to. So they lose trust in you because everything you try, you don't fully commit to. So I would say if you're watching this and you're thinking about going into flipping or adding repair or whatever you're looking to get into as an entrepreneur, stop with all years. Just commit to one. Make sure that you understand it all. Invest what you need to invest and then follow through with everything you've learned. Stop buying courses and half watching them. Stop doing things like that. Actually follow the process because it's been put together by someone who does it. You know what I mean?
No, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, we recently had one student. He was a repair shop owner. He
Okay.
came in 60 days. He 3x his buyback side.
I
3x.
love that.
Very
Look at my people. Look at my people.
yeah. Like we bolted on our lead machine, and
Yeah.
he just did what we said, and it happened. You know, but usually we have a little bit more success with people who have that one track mind in the beginning, right? Um, but
I'm an ideals person though, so I relate. But I'm just saying, if you're starting out, just focus and don't give up. You can't keep changing every 3 to 6 months the business that you're starting.
yeah,
That's addicting.
no, yeah, that's what I see that so often with
Yes.
flippers. Is because they'll pop in for a couple of months, and then they'll pop out, and then they'll pop back in, and pop back out. And repair, I've seen repair people do that too, especially the guys that do it in their car and stuff. And
Yeah.
but I mean, um, I think it's all a journey too. At the same time, I mean, I recommend going out there and split testing, industries. Figure out what you like. You're not gonna. I don't know if there's a whole the whole passion industry that's happening right now, where it's like
I like
you
it.
need to find your passion, and I'm just like, you're not. So if you're good at something, you're gonna like doing it. Like, let's be real.
If
Once
you
you,
make money off of it, you're
yeah,
gonna like it.
exactly, yeah. If you're making bank, you're typically gonna like it.
I love CellBotics. I love prepared devices. I love them.
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
the
go
stuff that
quick.
keeps
I
you
loved
working
it,
up
but
in the
it
morning.
It's made me very successful. I love it. I'm making a difference in the industry. So I freaking love it. I love the repair industry.
Yeah.
I didn't come into it loving it.
So, what would you give somebody like advice on somebody who let's take this from a phone flipping perspective. So somebody who's currently flipping phones and they want to get into repairs. What would you say
Mhm.
to them, and like what would you like caution them against or not caution them against? Let's
Mhm.
say let's just say they're making 5,000 a month in profit. Um, just flipping phones and devices, and they want to increase their profit margins with repairs. What would you tell that person?
So it's a couple different things. If they were really set on repairing them, I would say just simplify it. Okay. Say if you're like, no, I'm really, my heart is set on repairing these devices, right? Um, and I can't tell you any different. Okay, this is what you need to do. Simplify it. Don't run into repair thinking you're going to do everything. Say, okay, I'm going to get out there. I'm going to take a course. Be ready to invest money that might not come to fruit. It might not fruit you anything. Okay. First off, prepare yourself mentally for that. Take a good course. Okay. And then start with one device, one at a time. Don't bring a whole lot. Oh man, look, I got 50 of them I got to fix. Start with one iPad. I'm going to fix it. I bought it. I can flip it for this much. Tracking that process is very important. What you would have made and how much time that would have took you if you just would have flipped it. Okay. What you paid for it, what you could have sold it for. This into a spreadsheet. Then start the process of repair. Figuring out what screen you need, where you have to buy it, the shipping time, the shipping cost, how much time it takes you to repair it. Does it have any issues afterwards? That kind of thing, right? With the understanding that you're in the learning phase, in 5 years, you would not have that many issues during a repair, right? Keeping that in mind too. One, then sell it. Okay. You might be in the red because you calculate your time and everything, but then do one more. Just one at a time. Because what I see is people, when they do start, they want to freaking rush it. I mean, they're trying to fix devices all day long. They're making mistakes. They're ordering wrong parts. They're breaking things when they install it. And they get so flustered because they can't make it quick. This isn't a quick money industry. I feel like phone flipping is much more quicker than, but it may not be because, you're the master of it and I may be speaking wrong. But in repair, I'm telling you right now, it is not fast. You are not going to enter this industry and start making thousands of dollars right off the bat. This is a long-term game, right? Um, but it's a very good one. It is a career. It is like you could really turn this into something massive, because there's so many other sectors that your repair skill applies to. So that's what I would tell them. But if they're kind of on the fence about it, I would say, you know, do your research. Really understand, is this actually going to affect your bottom line like you think it is? Or is this just another idea? You know what I mean? We don't,
Yep.
my industry, and I sell training. I'm gonna tell you right now, I want, you know, half-ass technicians in our industry.
Yeah.
People think because I sell training that I don't care about that. I don't want people that don't take it seriously because it is a very serious thing. You're repairing devices you're going to resell. But what if you want to repair somebody's device and you jack it up and they lose all their data and you have to replace it? And even that, you can't replace the data. You know what I mean? This is a very serious thing you're taking on. So I would say do your research, work with a local shop, find out, go in and say, hey, I got all these devices, but I work out a deal with you to repair these. What would my margins be? You know what I mean? Do your research, your due diligence before you just dive in because it's your next idea.
I think that's really important. Is like, is this just another idea that you're having in the moment? Like,
Go to the Gadget Repair Expo.
yeah,
Go to the
yeah,
expo. It's a flavor of the industry. It will let you see how in depth it is and how massive it is and how many working pieces there are to it. You see demos of different repairs, and you may be like, "Well, yeah, never mind," or you may fall in love with it. Like there's going to be technicians there and shop owners that you can talk to, negotiate. I'm a flipper. This is what I have. What would this be if you fixed it? Because you can actually find technicians that are like mobile and can fix really well, and they'll work with you. Oh, what do I need to do this for? This is considered bulk, that kind of thing. But don't just dive in because it's an idea. I would definitely stray away from that because you might spend money on training, then you don't feel like the training had effect on you, and then you want to blame the training. It's not the training fault. It's because you just were not that invested and it wasn't the right thing for you and you did it anyways.
I really like that. I like with my students whenever so we do a little I'll always question them. They'll be like, "Should I repair this before I flip it?" And I'm like, "Well, what can you make right now if you flipped it?" Like, "Oh, you can make $80? Okay. Well, how quickly can you get the money back? Well, in 2 days. Okay. How long does it take to order a part? Probably get there in 2 days. You do 2, 3 days if shipping, you know. And I'm like, but you could have gotten that money back, flipped it, and made, bought another device and then flipped that one. You could have flipped 3 to 4 devices in the time it took to get the part.
Mhm.
And like going back to what you said, the flipping is faster. And that's what because I tried the repair early on when I started and I was like, nope, I'm good. Like this is
Yes.
there's I broke the first phone I ever tried to repair, so I was like, nah, I'm good. Like
Yeah.
I could have just flipped this thing and made a quick 100, even though it was cracked, you know.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to scare people away from
Yeah,
repair. I like to be realistic. Repair can be extremely lucrative if done right. If you end up opening multiple locations and you have a really big plan here, man, you can make some serious money and have technicians working for you and never touch a device again, which is what I did, right?
yeah,
But I was in the nitty-gritty, repairing devices in my car, in my shop, in people's houses when my shop was closed, breaking things and fixing things and replacing things. I've done that. It was totally all worth it. It's just not for everybody. Don't just jump in because you think, do your research.
totally. Definitely do your research. And
Make
I
sure you
like
have
what
the
you said.
time.
Yeah, I like what you said earlier about just trying one device at a time. Like, I think that's
One,
really important. Like, for everybody listening, a lot of people are phone flippers that are listening. Like, if you're looking at it, one device at a time if you're brand new. Like, I really like that. And it'll give you a
just
taste
one.
of like
Mhm.
what it looks like. And if you want to move forward with it, because I do see a lot of people who, they'll get really good at the buying and the flipping, and they'll have a bunch of cracked inventory, and they'll be like, oh, I can make an extra of this, I can make an extra of that, and then it does become overwhelming, and then they lose money because they didn't actually know how to do it yet. So I
And I'll
really,
tell them a little cheat to buying a course. I'm only saying this here. Okay. So I don't usually say this because it takes money away from me, and I don't like to take money away from myself. Celbotics sells courses online and in person. If you're someone that needs to learn hands-on, go to our in-person course. You will not regret it. Trainer Shura and Michelle are experts at what they do. I didn't hire crummy trainers, and they're not even employees. They're contractors. They take full ownership of their courses. They love it and they're good at it. So if you need to learn in person, check that out, right? But if you feel like you can learn online, instead of going to sellboticsonline.com and buying a course outright, which is hundreds of dollars, you can go to repairsfirst.com, sign up for the $69 subscription, and it comes with all of our courses.
nice.
And you get to talk to Brian, who is an expert in the industry. If there's anything or anyone you need to know about repair or the repair industry, well, he doesn't fix, but he owns shops too. So that just shows you people who don't even repair can own shops, right? This is a lucrative business model. But you get to get on the phone with him, right? And then he onboards you, and then you get all of these other things, operation support. If you want to find a location, they'll help negotiate the lease. We do masterminds twice a month. There's sales training, there's repair training, there's discounts. There's so much. So that's a little cheat code. If you want to save some money and you want to have additional help, just go the repairs first route.
I love
You
that.
heard it here
That's
from the
awesome. Yeah.
owner of Celbotics.
Yeah, there you go, guys. Like, go get your courses. Love that. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, what's the future for Celbotics? What's it looking like
Um,
in the future?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so Atlanta location is closing. We already have Shura up in Philadelphia, and then we are partnering with a very well-known shop owner, Chris. He is a Savannah doctor, and we're going to
Oh
be
yeah, I know
he
him.
is going to be a Cellbotics trainer, and we're going to offer classes in Savannah, Georgia. And that will be it for in person. I would only be willing to partner with someone on the West Coast to do one more location, and then that's it, because there's just not that demand for in-person training. And then online, we're going to continue to add content. We do have a lot of business content. I have more content coming out around how to open a business successfully, how to sell your own training. Like, say like I have a lady that I'm working with who has a program for deaf kids, and she wants to make her own course to be able to go with the program. So, like, we have content like that coming out. So, just expanding our training footprint. and working with more large brands to provide our white label LMS. So we work with some brands that have 200 locations, and we have a white label learning management system where training sits inside of there, and they'll have hundreds of employees in there. And so that's the future for CellBotics, is just to continue the footprint of training within the industry and expand out a little bit more. Yeah, and then for me, I'm just focusing on building, my empire,
Yep.
my revenue streams, my team, and how I'm impacting the industry.
Love that. Fantastic. Well, uh, when's the next Gadget Repair Expo?
May 7th and 8th of 2025, and it's going to be in Miami. I cannot wait. It's going to
Awesome.
be so fun.
Miami's beautiful. I was just there.
Yes.
I was just there like 3 weeks ago. So
I'm so excited. I can't wait.
awesome.
Cannot wait.
Well, Nicole, I appreciate you coming on.
You're welcome.
And is there any last things that you might want to tell people out there who might be looking to
Um,
get into
I
repair?
know we talked about work-life balance,
Yes.
and I did want to say something on that because I have found that, but it took me 10 years to find it. And um, what it is realizing that you can't do it all. The more money comes after you hand off those tasks. The money doesn't come and then you hand off those tasks. So when I started CellBotics and all of my flea markets and everything, I was like, I don't have this much payroll money then to hire someone. And so I struggled because I was like, I have $100,000 salary to pay someone to be able to bring someone on. It's actually backwards. You have to bring people on to take things off of your plate so then you can generate more revenue because as the owner, you actually are the creative. You're like the engine.
Yeah.
You're not all the moving parts. That's all of your team. And so as soon as you can start to hand off pieces that you're not strong at and being able to realize that, be it making images, be it posting, be it replying to things, is it a software that you need? Is it a VA that you need? Which if you need a VA, let me know. And if it's something like that, just pay for it and then put your energy into the next level of your business. And that's how you will increase it. Because right now, I have such an amazing team that I'm able to, my businesses run. I'm working with my businesses every day. I'm in communication with my team every day, but they all know their job tasks and their tasks are getting done. And, I'm worried about bringing in clients, networking, speaking, understanding the needs in the industry, of building relationships and spending time with my family. I travel a lot. I work remote. I spend a lot of time with my daughter. You know, but that took a long time to get there. But my biggest hang up was that I thought I had to do everything and then pay for somebody to do it. And it doesn't work that way
Gotcha.
to me.
Well, I probably need to hear that myself.
It's
I, I've been holding off on hiring a certain person for a specific task, but probably just need
do
to.
it. And then you invest your time in increasing the revenue because now it frees up so much time.
Yeah.
My motto is if you give it to me, I hand it off. My business partners, because I have three amazing business partners, they already know. If you give it to me, don't worry, it's going to get done. It doesn't mean that I did it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
It get done. Thank
Well, it was great having you on, Nicole.
you.
I gotta hop on another call myself,
Okay.
but
Thanks
glad
for
to have
having
you
me.
here. If you guys want to find her stuff, we'll post some links in the first comment under this video. That way, you guys can see where you can talk to Nicole and stuff like that, and check out all of her courses and other things that she's doing, along with the Gadget Repair Expo.
Yeah.
Definitely want to see.
Follow me on social media too.
Yeah, follow her on socials. And that being said, this has been another
Thanks,
episode
Chris.
of the Smart Flip, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.